I love horror. But then, I went to after and did, YA, and something else. I like to play in different genres. It's fun, right? But I think what I've been doing in my last sort of 5 years, whether it's after or whether it's strangers, is doing things where I could make multiple films off of what I was doing instead of just doing one film. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
A pleasure to meet you. And also, I'm very curious, how come you moved from the After franchise to the Stranger franchise? From the romance to the horror. How was that?
Well, it's funny. I started doing horror movies for a lot of my career. We used to do like the 8 films to die for. Maybe you remember those. And we put them out and they were like horror festivals. And we'd encourage people to come to the theater and watch all 8 over one weekend and dress in their costumes and then get a hotel room and have a party for the weekend of just watching horror movies. So I love horror. But then, I went to after and did, YA, and, something else. I like to play in different genres. It's fun, right? But I think what I've been doing in my last sort of 5 years, whether it's after or whether it's strangers, is doing things where I could make multiple films off of what I was doing instead of just doing one film. I don't even know if it was a cognizant decision, but it just seems to have turned out that way.
Yeah. No, but I think it's good because after is very successful. The Stranger is really very stranger for me. Like, it's very terrifying.
You're more of an After fan, I can tell.
Yes, terrifying for me because it's something that is real, can happen.
That's what drew me to it, is that it's true terror. It's true horror. Anybody, it could happen to you anywhere. It could happen to you in your house in LA, if you lived in a building in New York, if you live in a suburban neighborhood, an Airbnb in the woods, a hotel room, anywhere, right? And these people, sadly and scarily, they're among us. We read the stories. Yeah, you just never know. So it is really scary, you're right.
Yeah. And to find the perfect actors, Froy and Madelaine, how was that process?
I mean, it was super hard, but we knew when we found them, because you get so many talented people that go on tape or that you have Zooms with and that get presented to you. And as a producer, and then Renny as a director, we're deciding together, and, it's like, well, this person's really great. But I can tell you the Madelaine story, because actually once Madelaine showed up, it was just done. Literally in the first 5 minutes of the Zoom. So Renny and I get in a Zoom with her. She was shooting a Christmas movie for Amazon at the time in Ottawa, I think it was. So she was dressed like a Christmas movie, basically having a Zoom interview with the 2 filmmakers for The Strangers, okay? So it would be like dressed like Harlin and Tessa or something like that from After, right? But she got on, right? And she basically interviewed us, right? She's an extremely intelligent and, strong-willed and assertive and, bright person. She had 21 pages of notes that she had made on our script.
Oh my
God. So she had 21 pages of notes on our script, and definitively and said The Strangers was her favorite horror movie, and she loves horror growing up, and it wasn't a line, it was the truth. And Renny and I sort of looked at each other and were like, that's Maya. And by the way, now that I've done it, there couldn't have been any other Maya, not even close.
Her face, there's some moments is terrifying. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I imagine the set, going through that set. I just went through the little room over there. I got really scared.
Oh no.
I imagine like her on set, and putting this movie together, what was the biggest challenge for you?
Well, I mean, it was sort of like we wrote a 289-page script to tell the story that we wanted to tell. And what The Strangers is, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 is like sort of a horror odyssey, that she goes on, and it's character driven. Often people watch horror movies and never think of the thought, character driven, like in horror, doesn't make sense. But in this, because it's so real, imagine that you survived the first attack, but you're in a place you can't get out of, an environment, a small town where there was an Airbnb in the woods, if you will, and these people are still hunting you. And imagine if you went through that for 3 or 4 days, how it would actually change you if you really went through the beats, emotionally, psychologically, physically. And at the same time, imagine that you also get to meet them a bit and see what makes them tick, which makes it even more scary. So that was challenging because the arc was this big instead of this big, like one movie, right? But it is really just one movie. We're breaking it into 3 chapters because, it's too long as one movie. So you need to watch all 3. Each movie is a movie unto itself, but you just, it had to be broken up. We wrote it so we could tell the one story we wanted to tell.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Courtney, I just want to thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
And I pleasure, and cannot wait for the number 2 and number 3.
Oh, well, thank you.
So much.
Even though you don't like being scared that
Yes,
much.
I watch it. I always watch it. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate that. Real pleasure. Thank you.
If you like to support or continue to support Jana on Camera, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos.